Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. My name is William. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Today we will be flying the Cessna 208 Grand Caravan, departing from Nome, Alaska, flying to Wales, Alaska. Short flight here. I hope you all enjoy. Let's get into it. Alright, everyone on the ramp at Nome in the 208. We're going to go ahead and get the aircraft ready for startup. At the same time, we're going to request a pushback, kind of speed things along a little bit. So first step, we're going to open up the fuel tanks. We're going to come down, set the prop to full. Now then come on over, get the battery on, avionics 1 on, and we'll go ahead and go for beacon light. We'll set standard local pressure, 2974 is what it's showing. Looks like the wind is still bugged. It should be quite windy here at Nome at the moment, but it's not. So we're going to work with that. A little unfortunate, but it is what it is. Also get some lighting on since it is a bit overcast and kind of hard to see. Alright, so our pushback's going. We don't have to go very far here. Just enough to basically be able to make this right turn and clear everyone. So we'll call the pushback good there. Reset the parking brake. Now then come back over to the left panel and set the fuel boost to on. Our ignition is on norm, which is what it tells me I want. So we'll go ahead and set the starter to on. Let's just verify everything here. Our oil pressure is climbing. Make sure that's still coming up. Still coming up. We're good to go. So let's go ahead and set mixture to low idle. There we go. We can turn the starter to off now. And we'll hear it catch here in a moment, hopefully. May have turned that starter off too soon, but it looks like everything is going well. And there it goes. Yeah, we should have put the throttle into this idle position. That's what it tells you to do. We would have heard it kick more. That's why I didn't get that. But a good engine start, nevertheless. And now then we'll come back over here and get the fuel boost set to normal. Avionics 2 on. Good nav on. Taxi lights on as well. And then let's see. I'm going to go ahead and set the heading mode up and set a heading of 270. Also come through, we'll set our altitude selector at, we're going to try 4,500 feet today. If we start getting into the clouds, I'm going to come down and not mess with the clouds at all. But we'll set 4,500 feet and 1,000 feet per minute on the initial climb. I'm going to set heading select on, flight director on as well. Get our pitot heat, stall heat on. With that, we're ready to taxi. So we'll disengage our parking brake now, go over to the left, and start. You can see the windmills off there in the distance. That is pretty neat. Not turning too much, because we don't have too much wind, even though there should be a decent amount. Alright, so we'll hold short of runway tree here. We'll set our parking brake one more time. Get our flaps into takeoff. Strobe lights on, nav or landing lights on as well. And then I'm gonna turn the CDI over to GPS, so get it on magenta needles. PFD bearing 1 set to GPS, so we got the distance. And I'm gonna bring the wind option up just to confirm, yeah, showing that bugged. It's like 230 at 1 knot, and that's all it wants to show. So unfortunate, but that's what we got. Also in the 208, I find it extremely helpful to have half bank mode on. Just helps it capture courses a lot easier, and it's a lot smoother basically on the autopilot. So you could take a look at where we're going. Here, this is Wales up here on this kind of point. So we're departing Nome. We're going to fly out to Adayi, and then we'll continue on. And this is basically the GPS or RNAV approach into runway 36 at Wales. So set up for that in case we need it due to the weather. So with that, just double check, make sure everything is set the way I want. Lights on, all that's good. Runway looks clear, approach in looks clear. So let's take the runway. We're not going to back taxi to go full length. We're just going to depart from this intersection here. Should be plenty of room for us. And let's go to takeoff power. A little bit less than that. There we go. Takeoff power set. Airspeed is alive. We have a truck playing chicken with us. Rotated a little bit early so we could clear them. Oh man. Alright, and we are up positive rate. Try and hold this pitch here, so just kind of trim it for this. We're going to continue climbing a little bit. Try and get to at least about 400 feet before we start our left turn. So we'll go ahead and start our left turn. And just, once again, try and hold this attitude, basically. Oh, getting a little carried away on the trim there. Alright, so we're going to try and settle on a heading of 270 for just a moment. I'm going to pitch down for about 5 degrees. Get some acceleration going. We still have positive rate, so I'm going to pull the flaps in. Airplane's going to sink a little bit, so compensate with some back pressure and get a little bit more trim in to kind of relieve that. Just try and hold about 5 degrees here for a moment. We'll engage nav mode because it's kind of lining itself up. And we'll turn the autopilot on. Much smoother transition there onto autopilot. You can kind of see this terrain that we just need to keep an eye out on, or our eye on, I should say. Make sure we're going to clear it. We should just fine. You can kind of take a look around and see what's off in front of us. Just want to make sure we don't get up into the clouds, really. I don't want to find out how good the anti-icing is handled in this aircraft, or I really don't know anything about it, and I don't even want to get into that without really knowing what that's all about. So we'll just continue to climb. If it starts to look like we're getting into a cloud layer, we'll come back down. So far it looks like 2,000 is safe. So if 2,500 is going to be safe as well, we know we can just come back down to 2,500 feet. I do think we're going to be into the clouds if we go any higher from the looks of it. Yep. So let's go ahead and decrease our vertical speed. Set the altitude for 2,500. It is going to capture there. So we'll pull the throttle back. Yeah, the air temperature is like 4 degrees Celsius, and I do know that icing is modeled in the sim, which is really cool, but I don't want to find out about it, so... And how to work it in this plane, not on this flight. we start to get some windshield icing or something like that, we might have to go even lower. But 2,500 feet should be okay, and our route here should actually kind of take us clear of the terrain. We're kind of going to fly in this path. If we were going any more to the right, I'd have to be up a bit higher, but I think we'll be safe here. We still have enough visibility out the nose to feel okay as well, so. Let's get a little bit more power in. Keep increasing that airspeed. Ground speed isn't going to be as good just because we're not going to really get altitude here with the clouds kind of holding us this low. Kind of see some of the terrain here off our right wing. See how it's going up into the clouds. Yeah, if we are any farther over, this would not be okay. I really love flying around this part of Alaska, though. Nome has so many cool little airports, really within like an hour of it for something like a 208, something faster. I mean, you could probably hit multiple airports in that amount of time, but it's a lot of cool airstrips, and once they actually get the weather to where the live weather works the way it's supposed to, a lot of really interesting, or a lot of interesting airports and a lot of very challenging weather in the area. Almost all the time, really, it seems like. So, both with wind and storms, visibility, cloud cover, and then you've got the terrain up here as well. I know a little bit further south, kind of southwestern Alaska, like around Bethel. In that area, it's more of a tundra, kind of flat, and they get some crazy weather as well, but it's probably a little flat for most people to really enjoy, where you do have some terrain features up here. Kind of work your way around. But that's the nice thing about Alaska. You can go, up in this region where you got some, smaller mountains kind of to contend with, and the weather. You can fly, around Anchorage or Fairbanks, where it's basically mountain ranges. Northern Alaska with the crazy weather and temperatures and all of that, but it's also a little bit flatter. And then southeast or southwestern Alaska as well, the same kind of thing. And then the Aleutian Islands, big islands with big volcanoes on them, mountains, and all that good stuff. Some crazy weather in that area too. And then around Juneau with the fjords and all of that beautiful scenery. It's got a little bit of everything. Well, I'm kind of in the cruise here. Let's see, we're about 44 miles now from Adayi. That's what I'm going to stick with for the pronunciation on that. I know a lot of people just watch the takeoffs and landings, and it's, completely fine, more power to them for that. But if you're actually watching this all the way through, kind of want to ask your opinion on... I've been kicking around the idea of getting into FS Economy again. If you don't know what that is, just briefly kind of run you down. It's basically a website that kind of, it's its own thing, but it interfaces with Flight Sim. So on their system, you can own aircraft. It tracks how many hours you have on it. Aircraft require maintenance. You have to refuel them. You can pick up jobs, fly them to their destination. You get paid for it, that kind of thing. So it basically adds like some real elements to Flight Sim. It's also, if you own a plane, and like say I owned a plane at Nome Airport, if I want to fly that plane, I have to find a job out of Nome and go somewhere else, and then wherever I park that plane, it's going to stay. until I fly it again. Nevertheless, like I said, I used to be really involved with it way back, you know, X-Plane 8, X-Plane 9, I think, is really whenever I was super into it. So I checked my account recently, and I have about $25 million in FS Economy, and kind of kicking around the idea of getting back into it. I'd like to know what you guys think. If that'd be something you'd be interested in watching, kind of following along. Be kind of more like episodes at that point, because you'd pick a plane up exactly where you left it and kind of have to go on missions from there. So, but yeah, let me know your thoughts. Leave it in the comments below, any feedback or anything like that. I do try and read it all, and I really do appreciate the feedback from you guys, and the interaction is always nice. So, see, it looked like we're kind of getting into a little bit of some lower clouds now. There's flight, so let's just make sure we don't ice up or anything. I'm okay with this altitude. I don't want to go any higher, just I don't want it to get any colder, and just avoiding the airplane turning into a brick of ice, if at all possible. So I am going to come down here and just kind of, this is something I noticed on this plane. So on this switch, you know, it's whenever you click something like here, the nav lights are on, but it shows up what clicking it will do. Right here it says set max flow to windshield, even though toggled down is the windshield mode and toggled up is airframe. Kind of interesting, bizarre. It looks like it's backwards. I don't really know how any of the anti-ice stuff here works on the Caravan, so we're going to try to avoid really getting into anything super crazy as far as icing. As visibility is really dropping down now. It's getting a little bit worse. So I'm just gonna pop up the approach real quick so I can kind of see what we're working with, and just make sure I got the altitudes down and everything. Let's see, RNAV GPS runway 36, so we're going to Adayi, and then it'll be Hoslo, Forod, and then Zooks. And the approach course is offset by about 15 degrees, so it's not going to fly us into the runway exactly. We're going to fly kind of in at an angle and have to correct once we see the runway. It'll let us fly all the way down to, if we had the full approach, which we don't, it would let us fly down to under 500 feet, so we're going to call that what we're going to shoot for today. But if I need to fly down a little bit lower, we'll probably try it anyways, in all honesty. It's kind of breaking out through, seeing a little bit more. See the coastline there, kind of tracing along it, and then some of the mountains a little bit further inland, so kind of shooting that gap. And once we're out over Adayi, it's going to kind of fly us off the coastline, so we'll be completely fine as far as terrain goes, and then kind of turn us in towards the airport. It's kind of weird having an offset GPS approach like that, though. Offset by 15 degrees too, that's pretty decent. So we'll see once we get a little bit closer if I can pick up the AWAS, which according to this is 118.525. So we'll go ahead and plug that in. I'm assuming it's probably going to give us inaccurate winds, but maybe it'll give us the rest of the weather close to accurate. We'll see. Just kind of looking around outside. Take advantage of the scenery while you can see it before we kind of pop back into this haze. And at Wales here, we'll have, like I said, runway 1836. We're going to plan on landing 36, and it is about 4,000 feet of gravel, so that's what it should be anyways. Not necessarily the nicest airstrip in the world. You want to hear the remarks for it too. It is, it sounds like it's not in great condition, which I'm sure is about par for the course up here. It's probably pretty hard to maintain these, especially with all the weather and everything, but all lights broken on windstock, several runway lights broken. Let's see. Oh, the weather is apparently available on the internet. Runway conditions are not monitored. Visual inspection before landing. Easterly winds may cause severe turbulence in the vicinity of runway. Bunch of good stuff. Bunch of be afraid, basically. Like I said, that's probably par for the course for Alaska, so. And back into the haze now. Just about 21 miles to go to Adayi. Does look really nice whenever we can actually see below us. I wonder if we should just go ahead and go down to 2,000 so we can see a little bit better. Kind of enjoy what we are flying through. Set 500 feet a minute. And just pull the power back slightly so we don't overspeed. While I do have the fixes in, I don't necessarily plan on flying the approach exactly, so just more or less going to use it as a good reference, hopefully, if we absolutely need it. With this kind of visibility, we're going to. Kind of breaking through right there. Coming down, you can actually see the entire coastline now. Yeah, I think it's going to be a better altitude to cruise at. Actually see what's going on. Kind of, sort of. I'm going to set the power back now. Still going to fly through some low clouds occasionally, but it does look really cool whenever you can you get like a window through the clouds with the lighting. I'm a big fan. I just wish the rest of their live weather worked. Said I was going to stop harping on that. Just, it'll get fixed in time. See, it does look a little bit nicer up there towards our, basically directly in front of us. So maybe we're coming out of kind of the bad socked in area here. Definitely looks like it. You can see on the coast up there we have great visibility, and then all the way in there's a ton of clouds, so that's really neat. basically just a nice system over the land, but it looks like the sea is pretty clear. Got an airport up here off to our right. Some of these little strips are so cool. You're basically landing in the middle of a little bay. You can just see all the terrain off to our right around the bay. The other thing I'm really pumped for is for them to add seasons, and my hope is, and I may be crushed a little bit, but I hope that when they add seasons, it'll start to do some things to the ocean as well as potentially like ice. So this, you know, during winter, this should basically all be pack ice formed up around way out into the ocean. That would be super cool to see. See that little strip over there off to our right? The little runway lights blinking away, letting us know. This is an area I definitely want to explore more. Since we are kind of clear of it, I think we can actually go ahead and climb back up. Go for 2,500 feet. We'll double check the altitudes real quick. You know, I said we could go down to basically 500 feet on the approach. We're supposed to be at about 3,000 feet for our first initial fix here. Like I said, we're not going to fly it exactly. And then hold that all the way to Oslo. And then by Forrod or Forrod, 2,000 feet. And then descending down to Zooks. Hopefully we have good visibility up here around the point. Looks like there are some low clouds, but we'll see what we can work with. Yeah, it would just be super cool to fly over this bay and have it all be ice. That's all I'm saying. I would really enjoy that. You know, the other thing they announced is that helicopters are apparently the next update or DLC, whatever they want to call it. Quite excited for some helicopters as well. I really hope they add some missions and some cool places to fly them to, like oil rigs and stuff would be really awesome, doing like a search and rescue mission and some like national forest or something like that. Of course, I'm sure there will be people that kind of add on that kind of stuff anyways, but we'll go ahead and try the AWAS. So I got my pen and my paper ready. See if it keys up.
Papa Alpha India Whiskey Automated Weather Observation 2200 Zulu. Wind 02729er. Visibility 10. Sky condition: few clouds at 1,000 feet, few clouds at 4,600 feet, few clouds at 11,500 feet. Temperature 4C dew point 10C, altimeter 2986.
Alright, one more time.
Papa Alpha India Whiskey Automated Weather Observation 2200 Zulu. Wind 02729er. Visibility 10. Sky condition: few clouds at 1,000 feet, few clouds at 4,600 feet, few clouds at 11,500 feet. Temperature 4C dew point 10C, altimeter 2986.
Okay. So I'm going to assume the wind just isn't going to work. But even if it does, we're landing the right runway. But 29 knots, it's kind of, you can kind of see what I mean about the weather up here. I mean, most people know Alaska's got pretty crazy weather, but, you know, basically 030 at 29 knots, even landing runway 35, that's a pretty hefty crosswind component that you're dealing with nevertheless. So, but we're going to assume, like I said, the wind just hasn't been working. Everything else sounded good, so good visibility, 10 miles, we should be totally fine on that. Few clouds as well, so not even scattered or broken, so we should be good on our visibility. The lowest layer was at 1,000 feet, so we may have a couple clouds that we got to contend with, but I think we'll be okay. The next layer above that was 4,600, which is also going to be just fine. We're not even up that high, so we should be good as far as that is concerned. And altimeter setting is 2986. So we can go ahead and I've got that written down. We'll change that pressure once we get. Actually, we're out over the water. We could probably go ahead and just increase it to 2986. 2986. Oh, nope. Accidentally clicking the other. Anyways, so we're set up as far as that is concerned. We got this thing cruising just about as fast as we can go. Maybe not the most efficient flight, but we're all about speed. You see more of the coastline. It definitely does look like the clouds are contained kind of inland. I'm not going to complain about that because we're landing basically right on the coast. And if that means that we don't have to fight through, and we can spot our airport a little bit easier, I'm all for it. I also really enjoy that you can just tune to the AWOS like that and give it a listen. And AWOS, if you're not familiar, maybe, I believe it's Automated Weather Observation Station or Service. It's something along those lines, but either way, the main thing is it's automated weather reporting. So it's just a station that collects the weather information, and then you can tune to it, and it's an automated message where it just basically tells you the information. You can tune to them via frequencies there on the radios, and generally also phone numbers you could call, and not necessarily only for airports. Like some nav aids and everything will have stuff like that you could call into, if I'm not mistaken. So some really nice looking clouds around. And I do like that the ocean's got some differentiation in the colors and everything, but I still think it'd be really freaking cool for it to be ice. Maybe. That would just be way too neat. So since we do have the clouds to work with, let's go ahead and climb, actually, to 2,900 feet. Let's try and keep this approach somewhat accurate. We'll go up to 2,900 to Hoslo. And then from Hoslo to Faux Rod, we'll descend down to 2,000. At that point, if we have the runway in sight, just take over and fly it in to Wales. We do have a cloud layer coming up beneath us now. Air temperature is now exactly at freezing, so just kind of keep an eye on that. So just make sure we don't get into any icing. And to say few clouds was at 1,000 feet, so if we do get into the clouds, we're not really going to be getting under them. without dropping it way, way down. So see the airport here, Wales, right on the coast. There should be another airport here, but I don't think it's in the sim. It's at Tin City. I think it's actually an abandoned airport, but the strip is still there. That'd be pretty cool. I'm gonna have to look in to see if there's still anyone that kind of flies into that place. See how low those clouds are over the coastline over there. So it would be a bad time to try and land if you absolutely had to. Like, absolutely terrible visibility. Runway heading says it is 349, so I'm going to go ahead and put that into my heading bug because we are going to come in from an offset of 15 degrees. It just kind of give me a reference. I think we might be offset a little bit more than just that, in all honesty. It does say final approach course offset 14.93 degrees, so. Alright, let's see. Is our outside air temperature 8 or 0? It's definitely 0, so let's watch these clouds here. Go ahead and set 2,000 feet into the altitude selector. So we're getting close to moving on to Oslo. Alright, we are well and truly in the clouds now. Make sure the wing doesn't look like it's building up any ice or anything. Just kind of punching through the clouds and coming right back out, so I think we'll be okay. Should pick up ice. Should be visible on the wing if we're picking it up. Also on the windshield and stuff like that, if we're picking up ice, it should show up there. So we'll just tune to this one more time and just confirm.
Papa Alpha India Whiskey Automated Weather Observation 2200 Zulu. Wind 017 at 37. Visibility 8. Sky condition. Few clouds at 1,000 feet. Few clouds at 4,600 feet. Few clouds at 11,500 feet. Temperature 4C dew point. 10C altimeter 2986.
Okay, so the wind did change, but I don't think that's going to affect us too much. Still few clouds all the way through and 2986 for the altimeter. The wind lined up a little bit more with the runway, which would be nice, but he said 37 knots, which is just absurd. I think this is where we're going over there. Into the runway. You can see definitely high terrain as they stated, so cool area to fly into. We've got this low cloud layer, really thin though, that we're flying over as well. So we're just about to turn direct to Oslo. Go ahead and start pulling the power back a little bit to prepare us for our descent. We got 6 miles and we're going down to 2,000 feet. So Just a nice shallow descent, and let's start getting our airspeed under control. Got everything else set up. Basically, we didn't turn any of the lights off or anything like that. We're flying low enough. Still looks like we haven't built up any ice or anything like that. As we're getting lower, we should be okay, so. I'm gonna add that beautiful light coming through the clouds there. We do have the point in sight, so really we should, I believe that is going to be our runway right there. So we'll continue flying this in. It's going to kind of give us a wide berth around this. I mean, that's basically a mountain, so it's going to kind of direct us around that, which will be helpful. See, if the weather was any worse, this would get pretty dicey pretty quick. All it takes is some clouds in between you and this point, kind of wrapping around or hugging this mountain. That would be a bad day. So let's go ahead and get our speed down. I'm trying to remember. We could do takeoff flaps at 150. So definitely want to slow down a little bit more than that, though. Our next altitude, we're just going to go ahead and set 500 feet in. Continue slowing down. Alright, so direct Zooks. Continue down. Definitely do have the runway in sight, I believe. Let's take a look. That appears to be it to me. So just keep the descent going. Go all the way down to 500, like I said. Still a little bit out. We do have the airport in sight, so we could disengage the autopilot at any point if we need to. Go ahead and put the flaps out and kind of let the autopilot sort it out from there. There we go, and we are ready to dump in full flaps whenever we need to. Some odd things going on with the scenery and some of the water and stuff around here, but airstrip still looks really cool. Going right past a, that is a mountain on approach. So we'll go ahead and disengage the autopilot now. And we'll just continue flying this down. 1.5 miles from Zooks, basically, at this point. The airport light's in sight now, so this is definitely where we're going. Whoa. Forget that the trim, when you have it set to an axis, you got to be really careful whenever you trim back. Alright, 90 knots. Let's keep slowing it on down. See, the town is apparently going up the side of that river right there. Really do need to get on top of some of the altitudes of the waters around some of these airports, but It's alright. We're gonna focus on the approach now. Get into this little runway. Just a little clearing of gravel in the middle of nowhere is what this feels like. Right over the beach. Use the reverser there a little bit to kind of help us slow down. And we're going to just have to turn around here on the gravel. Look at all those clouds. Honestly, it looks like you're like on the edge of the world or something like that. Just to get some of the altitude things fixed with like this. That shouldn't be elevated. That should just be flat in the ground over there. Which there's a lot of areas that have issues like that. It's really, like I said, it's something that they've definitely said that they're working on, and it's going to continually get better, basically. But this looks so neat. A crazy little airport in the middle of nowhere, basically. The skylighting really makes it as well. You imagine doing that approach, though, with, what did it say, 37 knots, basically on the nose. You feel like you're standing still, basically. That's what I'm looking forward to. Just some of the little quirks getting kind of ironed out in the sim, as well as some additions. I think it's pretty solid for where it is right now. It just needs, like I said, some fine tuning, some tweaks, and some things added to really make it absolutely amazing. I don't want to park with that ground crew over there, so we're gonna just park up right here. Welcome to Wales. I hope you enjoyed the flight. Let's go ahead and shut the aircraft down. So before we do that, let's go ahead and get nav strobe off, all those off, get our anti-ice heat off. There we go. So now then, avionics 2 off, mixture control 2 cut off, RPM control all the way back, a fuel boost pump off as well, and now then beacon off, battery off, avionics 1 off as well. Should have done that one a little bit earlier, and close up the fuel tanks. So we have the aircraft's shut down on the ramp here at Wales. I hope you all enjoyed the flight. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you did, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It does help out a lot. If you want to see some more flights, more content like this, make sure to subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Thank you so much for stopping by. Bye-bye.